session where we're going to share a technique called not knowing, or what I like to call deliberate ignorance. When we have this technique, it will help you become an even better trainer, coach, manager, facilitator. So let me start this session with a story. We have this particular company where they are into sales, and one day the sales head summoned a consultant and said, our sales are down. What my people need will be training on how to close deals. So Mr. Consultant, create a training module, bring them to a workshop where they learn how to communicate benefits, handle objections, and clinch the deal. And then the consultant said, wait. Will it be okay if I interview the salespeople themselves? And the sales said, what's there to talk about? No. The problem is closing deals, so run with it. The consultant, to his credit, insisted, and then grudgingly the sales said, all right, go ahead and talk to them. When the consultant talked to the salespeople, do you know what he discovered? The problem was not skill. The problem was confidence. See, they reached a point where they're to talk to CEOs or business owners, and they're in this particular ordinary polo shirt, polo t-shirt. And when they're facing the business owners with their fancier clothes, sometimes even blazers or three-piece suits, they felt insecure. They felt diminished. They felt inferior. And that affected their close rate. And so when the consultant reported that to the sales head, do you know what they did? First of all, they embarked on a quick win. They upgraded the uniform or the office wear. The men began to be given nice, elegant office button with company logo. And even some of the topper salespeople were given blazers so they can be more formal, connect with the more formal customers, and sales went up. That's only the start, because after that, their TNA included confidence building. Now, here's the point. The sales head knew the problem, but the consultant started with not knowing. So that's now going to be our lesson for today. How do we have this not knowing? Let me give you two concepts before we have the formal definition. Here's one. We are not data processing machines. We are meaning-created beings. And many times we treat people like walking computers or walking encyclopedias. Hey, there's a problem here. I give me a question, find the facts and figures, give me the answer. Data. But the deeper reality is that we are all creating meaning wherever we are. How does this person see this situation? Let me give you a classic story. This is the one about the shoe salesman. He was assigned to go to a virgin territory, and the first salesman went there, saw the market, and called up headquarters. Bring me back. There is no market here. Nobody here is wearing shoes. Then the company replaced him with a second salesperson. And the second salesperson said, bring me a lot of shoes. There's a great market potential here. Nobody is wearing shoes. What happened? Same data, same observation, same situation, but two different meanings. And that is why for this particular session, we're going to talk about the meaning inside of us that's not yet expressed, the not yet said. And here's the other key concept. It may sound so upsetting or revolutionary. The other person is the expert, not you. Think of it for a while. You're the manager, and in front of this employee with a problem. And we may think that we're the manager, we're the one who are well-trained, we have much knowledge, and we tell him the solution. But the radical thinking is like this. The other guy with the problem is the expert. Why? Chances are he has been living with the problem for so long, he knows the problem better than you. Not only that, because he's there on the front line or on the battle trenches, he may have an inkling of the correct solution. And that's why you now have to park the not knowing stage, and then you ask the guy to speak up and create conversational space, create an opportunity for him to talk some more. And I love this is connected with what Peter Brace is talking about, psychological safety. So shout out to you, Peter Brace. Welcome to the house. And that's where now this technique will be how to draw out that not yet said, how to understand the other person's meaning. So we begin with not knowing. What is not knowing? It is a general attitude in which we communicate an abundant, genuine curiosity. Now, this is good news because people think, I cannot be an entrepreneur. I cannot be a manager or a leader. Why? I don't have the MBA degree. I don't have the high IQ. I don't have this. Maybe what you really need, and everybody can have this, curiosity, the first to know. Now, let's be honest. We all heard of Marites, right? Marites, okay, Marites. I wish I know her true identity. And why do we love to listen to Marites? Come on. Because we love to know what is the latest chismis, chismaks, gossip, tolits, that sort of thing. But now have that superpower called curiosity and harness it to a more positive, constructive venue. And we continue with not knowing like this. It's the need to know more about what has been said. Here's the key. Rather than we have our preconceived notions, all of us have bias, and conveying those notions, those bias about the person, the problem, or what should be done. So the technique is not to tell you what I think, but tell me more, not knowing. Last but not least, because of that, it's a position of being informed always, being informed by the other person. Yes, there will come a time where you have to tell the other person your guidance, your advice, maybe even what to do. But for now, to maximize the output of the conversation, start with the position of not knowing, curiosity, having this particular, not only conveyed preconceived notions, and also being continuously informed. Now, I learned this from solution-focused brief therapy. It's a brief kind of counseling, but when I saw this, I saw the power in non-counseling situations. And as I promised, if you're able to get the grasp of this technique, you'll be able to apply it well. It's a powerful tool for problem solving, coaching, and conflict resolution. Now, what is it not? Well, not knowing can be confused with a lot of things. Let me give you just 4. 1, it is not the same as literal ignorance. Now, yeah, there will come a time where we little don't know. We are assigned to, let's say, a new territory. We're given a new machine to operate. We're given a new book to read, subject to learn. We start with literally not knowing. But that's not what this technique is. You do know something, but it's not getting into the way of how you understand the other person. The other one is not a self-imposed amnesia. You know something, then you choose to forget it. Well, first of all, it's impossible unless, say, you have a head trauma. What it means is that you have what you know, but park it for a while, and later you can get back to it as you now digest the data and interact with the other person. The other one is not one time. It's not as if that in the conversation, oh, at this stage, not knowing ako, ha? No, it can be going back to the same concept over and over again in the conversation. I start with not knowing what you have in mind, then I understand you better. And just when I thought you and I understand you now, you give me new information, then I have to go back to not knowing, learn some more, learn some more. And even when we talk about solutions, I will still have to maintain the not knowing mode. Last but not least, and this is very important, do not equate not knowing with looking the other way. Okay, it's not as if that the other person is the expert, but what if he's wrong? So it doesn't mean that you're tolerating or agreeing with what you think is wrong, but there's a technique how to surface such that the other person will see the bigger picture and maybe change direction. So not knowing is not agreeing with the person, yeah, I think you should divorce your wife. No, I think you should slap your boss. Nothing like that. We'll go to that in one of the latter slides. Give me a thumbs up if this is great information for you, because we're going to go to the technique, right? So here is the point. I now have this particular template where we have 3 parts. How do you apply not knowing, which you can apply bits and pieces even after this lunchtime. Give it a try. I'm sure it's going to work wonders for you. The first is to park your biases and presuppositions. Second is to probe, try to understand the other person, and we have techniques for that. And then you ponder. You now have to think about the data, what will be the way forward. Now, let's analyze them one by one. And feel free now, I'm looking at the chat box. Feel free to talk to me in real time, whether you're enjoying the show or whether you have a question. And if I can leave the answer to my presentation, we're going to answer it as soon as we can. Okay, I like it. Seize the opportunity to learn from not knowing. Thank you very much, Sheila. And the beauty of this is that you can start anywhere. Pick the one that I think resonates with you and pick the one wherein it can be immediately useful. So here we go. The first thing about not knowing is to park your preconceived notions. Okay, imagine this parking lot, and instead of cars, motorcycles, jeepneys, it will be your boxes of bias, presuppositions, opinions. Nothing wrong with bias. We all have bias. I'm simply saying, put them aside, put them in this parking lot. Don't worry. Okay, many people think that if I let go of my bias, I may become ineffective. No, no. To address that fear, it's there for safekeeping. You can always go back to it later. Don't worry, it is a safe place. Now, the parking entails that when that happens, you're now free to listen to the other person's statements. How many of you have Instagram? Can you give me a chat box that, I'm not an Instagram expert, that's where I need your help. Is it true that Instagram has this no filter thing? Yeah, anybody? Is there an Instagram expert in the house? I'd like to see. Do you have a no filter element in Instagram, or is it, am I talking about another social media? Anybody can help me here? Does Instagram have no filter? Yeah. Oh, we have Henry. I didn't know you were an Instagram guru. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, imagine this. Of course, what's the purpose of the filter? It's probably to make it more beautiful. Not a guru yet. Okay. Well, I'm just a novice. So imagine you have a photo and you want to sort of spruce it up, you put a filter. Here, there's no filter. The person is giving you his picture, okay? He's going to give you his statement where you can build a mental framework, and it's supposed to be no filter. Don't put in the bells and whistles yet. It's there in its stark reality. The second one will be to suspend judgment, okay? Because many times, and this, I'm guilty of this also, many times a person talks to me and I'm already thinking, boy, this guy is wrong. Boy, this guy doesn't know what to do. Suspend it, because then that will color the rest of the conversation. No judgment first. It's very popular now. Stick with it. This is one I like the most in this part. No negation. Have you ever had this experience where you don't feel so good? You feel low, you feel discouraged, and you tell your best friend, bestie, I feel so low. And the bestie says, no, 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 you should not feel that way. How do you feel? Kakainis, no? And that's where no negation is very helpful. You just listen. Do not contradict him for now. And in effect, you are not invalidating his feelings. Okay? Many times when you say, no, don't think like that. There are many fishes in the ocean. It's not the end of the road. Don't give up. You are in effect invalidating the person's emotions. So for now, when you say park, no filter, do not yet put categories on his statements, suspend judgment, right, wrong, correct, no, up, down, left, right, nothing like that yet. And don't contradict him for now. When that happens, why do you do it? If you keep critiquing the other person, it is difficult to absorb what he or she will say next. Have you ever had, again, this experience? You and your friend, your bestie, are in a movie house. Top Gun, remember it? I heard it's very good, by the way. And then you're enjoying the show. You're so engrossed with Tom Cruise flying that jet plane at supersonic speed. And the guy is telling you something. What? Sorry, what did you say? That's the same phenomenon. When you are playing a mental movie while the other guy is talking in front of you, again, it'll be difficult to hear him. What? I'm sorry. I'm playing a mental movie. What do you say? So that's why now we have to park whatever is our presuppositions, which is making us process his guy's statement, which would actually interfere with our listening. The other one is this. It is the tendency to ask leading questions. Have you ever had this common example? It's common in any kind of training for people management. You have an employee who's habitually tardy, and the challenge is to shape him up. And what if your technique is like this? Mr. Tardy person, have you ever considered waking up earlier? Have you ever considered, getting another kind of mass transport instead of, let's say, waiting 3 hours for the MRT? I don't know. Notice what happened. You're already asking leading questions because you think that's the problem. He has to wake up earlier, or it's transport. So if you are critiquing that other person because you are having this preconceived notion, park it. Otherwise, you'll be missing out the real problem. What if this is the technique? Okay, Mr. Tardiness, I'd like to understand your situation better. What is preventing you from coming in on time? And instead of you telling him he has to wake up earlier, he may say something like this. I have difficulty sleeping. I have a mental condition. I have a family problem. And lo and behold, the meaning has changed. Your meaning is that he needs to wake up earlier. His meaning is that I have a problem in my own household. And because of that, I am late. And then you work it out from there. Because of that, if you keep critiquing the other person, thinking that you have that solution, because you think you're the expert, you're now going to pull premature problem solving. You're trying to solve the problem ahead of time, jumping to conclusions. And what happens? You'll be creating irrelevant or ineffective solutions. In fact, if you do that, what will happen to the person who is tardy? He will, well, this guy doesn't want to hear my side, why bother? And so you're not solving the problem. And he may promise to wake up early, but he'll keep on being late and give more excuses. Therefore, when you are not parking, when you are critiquing what the other person is saying, and the other person senses it, that you're not listening, let alone being empathetic, he will shut up. He will clam up because he will think, what's the use? And that's the power of not knowing, when you have to park first whatever is in your mind because you want to hear the other person. And when the person senses that, he'll feel comfortable, even happy or pleased, and he will open himself more until you get the bigger picture, bigger picture, bigger picture. Which leads us to the next one. It is probe. The other technique, the second technique is to investigate. Be like the detective or the journalist. It is to draw the other person's not yet said. And here's the other thing. When you uncover the other person's world, you will be able to discover his strengths. Mr. Other person, I like what you said. I think now one of your key strengths is being resourceful, the ability to connect well with people, or you know where to get information. And you may also want to uncover that he has his own resources. You discover that he has a team of experts, dial a friend, or he has other resources like, for example, other people to help him out, or financial resources or transport. And last but not least, you're able to see that he was successful at one point, and you may want to connect it. Mr. Other person, I noticed that at the time you were successful in this. I think you can apply the same thing here. How do you think you can do it? And as I said, you encourage him to say more. And later we'll have the two techniques how to do it. Encourage him how to say more. And then you compliment where appropriate. Here is one of my hidden suspicions in the workplace. I believe that deep down, many employees are starving, not for food, but for affirmation. And we talk about talent, retention, employee engagement, wherein all I think is this, but not really all, where I think one of the powerful low-lying fruit, quick win, is to pat them in the back, give them a hearty thank you, and give them public compliment. And when you do that, what will happen? Their guards are down. They'll be able to share their problems even more, and they'll be open to the conversation where we have to think of answers together on the context of not knowing. Okay, so now we go to this one. Why prove? Have you ever wondered? People know that cigarette smoking, forgive me if you're a cigarette smoker. Have you ever wondered why people know that cigarette smoking is bad for you, lung cancer, emphysema, that sort of thing, and yet they still smoke? Have you ever wondered that? That you think that they should have known better. You think that this guy should be more initiative in their work, they should protect their jobs, they should make the project work, that sort of thing, but they're not doing it. And it frustrates you, right? It really makes you want to, what's wrong with you? Don't you see this is for your good? Why? Because everyone has a good reason from their point of view about their decision. The cigarette smoker may know that it's bad for him, but in his mind, I have a better reason than you. I will use it to de-stress or because it's cool. And never mind lung cancer because that's an abstract reality down the road. My way is still better than yours. When that happens, remember, the other person is the expert, although he or she may have his own reasons why he thinks it's the best way to do. You have to now extract that meaning, verbalize, and explore that good reason. Is this helpful for you? Does this help explain? Give me a reply, yes, no. If this is a powerful tip, why do people do what you think is wrong? Yes, because they think, thank you, LJMB, thank you, Tim, thank you, Mark. Yeah, now you know, because they think they are better than you, smarter than you, and they think they have a better reason than you. And therefore, the answer is find out that better reason, go not knowing, find out the reason, and then explore it, uncover it. Of course, si, senor. Thank you, Jal. De nada, de nada. Okay, so now you have an idea how to handle people, okay? Because remember, everyone has a good reason for whatever they're doing in their point of view. Our job as not knowing people is to find out that without filter, park your bias, and move on. Now, how do we probe? How do you probe? You ask the old-fashioned, good, open-ended questions. There will be a time when you have to use close-ended, yes, no. Like, for example, in a decision tree, okay, or in a choice among a commercial scorecard, which is the best supplier to choose, no? But in this case, open-ended questions, I highly recommend the 4. Notice, not 5, 4. Who, where, when, what, and the 1H, the how. Notice I didn't say why, because one of the tips I got from experience is this. Sometimes people interpret why as threatening. Okay, I don't know about you. Give it a try to somebody else. That why maybe sound interrogative. Why did you do that? Why this has happened? Why did you not do this? And to soften the blow at least, or at least it goes into data processing mode or meaning creating mode. What? What made you say that? What were the reasons that you did this? What happened that led to this problem? So notice you may want to experiment instead of why, ask the what, because it seems to be like less threatening. Things become more objective rather than personal, and it leads you more into the objective part of problem solving or coaching. Now, here are the 2 things I said how to probe. There's one that is direct, tell me more. Remember, you are going to express genuine curiosity. I want to learn more. Tell me more. In the chat box, is there another? Oh, thank you very much, Peter. That's a great idea. Now, tell me in the chat box, what are the other ways to invite the other person to tell me more? Okay, one is tell me more. Any other suggestions how to have this person invite the other person to say more? Anybody? I'm looking at chat box now. Okay, for example, help me out here. I like to understand this better. So can you tell me about this? So notice the best. If there is one technique you can learn from this particular seminar is the 3 words, tell me more. After that, you're good. What would make you feel or do better? That's great. Okay, what would make, thank you, Gail. Gail, I don't know how to pronounce your name. How can I support you? That's great. Okay, that's very good. How can I support you? How can I help you succeed? Okay, I love that, Sheila. Thank you very much. Now, you notice that this will be open-ended. And I like those questions because Sheila, Gail, and how can you share with me? How can I assist you further? Thank you, Harry. Notice, again, this is what I love about this chat box. Aside from curiosity, you're combining with empathy. And when people sense that you care, they'll open up. I like that. Can you help me better understand? I like that. Now, this is the other one, indirect, wherein you will be rephrasing or paraphrasing. Can you help me better understand? That's good. Okay, you're asking him point blank, tell me more. Now, the other indirect is to listen to his answer, repackage it, rephrase it, paraphrase it, and give it back to him. Okay, let me see if I got you right. The reason why this happened is because A, we see. Or what I understand you saying is that this. And this will be a good technique because it will validate your understanding. And for the other guy, 2 things. this guy is really listening. Mr. D is listening to me. I like that. I'll tell him more. And the other things like this. I will now correct whatever. Mr. D, it's not quite there. Here is what I mean, etc., etc. And good. And I like to add this further detail that if you did not ask for more information, I would not have given you this detail. And who knows that detail is the game changer. So invite the other to say more by paraphrasing. Maybe this from Bert Sulak, maybe one other way to help is to say something along the lines of, I was also confused, doubtful before, and I learned that opening up can help. That's fantastic. That is great. Thank you, Bert, for that. I learned something that, see, we're all learners here. I have the state of curiosity and not knowing. I would love to hear what you have said, because it also gives you a message of vulnerability. I'm not perfect. You're welcome, Bert. Like Mr. Other Person, one of the things I learned is that I learned not to jump to conclusions, and I like to hear some more from you. I thought I had the answer before, and I learned to listen to people better. So I like to listen to you now, Mr. Other Person. Can you tell me more? How can I help you? Where can we go from here? So I love that. Thank you very much. Rich chat box. How can I help you? Thank you, Lilette. Okay. Now, the last one is to ponder. You help the other person not to be limited by past experiences. Have you ever wondered like this? There's always somebody in the office, negativo, negaholic, okay? And you'll notice that whenever you talk about problems, problem talk leads to more problem talk. It's like the classic Disney character Eeyore. He's the donkey who's always depressed, negative. Nobody wants to be with him. But now, if you're breaking away from negative experiences, not be limited to the past and move forward, we can get started. And that's where you have to create new awareness of the situation and look for at least glimmers or hints of possibilities, what we can do to make it better. Here are some of the techniques. Okay. The technique is called possibility questions. Now, I know there's a lot of positivity. Okay. You can do it. I'm complete, that sort of thing. I don't mind. I suspect that you may want to go into possibility because I'm positive, but so what? Where do I go from here? What can possibly be the solution? So I have several sets of questions, and you may want to take them home or snapshot it and maybe apply it later. Number one is goal setting. Just yesterday, I had a session with my process engineer, and we're trying to make this training program for our people. And he said something like this: Sir Nelson, this is my training plan. Okay, the goal is to make people more skilled and more motivated. My question to him: how do you know these people are more skilled? How skilled is skilled? In other words, how do you know that your training program has worked? Answer: very subjective. But if we are able to get some objective, qualitative criteria, then I can tell you that we've succeeded. If I'm able to run the machine within 5 minutes and let it run after that without any defect, that's the metric. And I've succeeded if I have people, my trainees, run the machine 5 minutes or shorter. If I have people still running the machine in 20 minutes and still fail left and right, then the training program has failed. So how do you know you've succeeded? For those of you, how many of you have been to so many meetings, so many Zoom meetings, you're practically having Zoom fatigue. And you're thinking, is this a meeting I should go to? Okay, Negatron. Okay, so is this a meeting I have to go through? Number one, if you are the one chairing the meeting, you may want to stop and say, okay, I do not want to call a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. I don't believe in long meetings or meeting within meetings. First question, how do I know that this meeting is useful for you? And they'll help you set the agenda. And there's no side talk or, heaven forbid, after meeting where people attack the decision. So goal setting will be possibility questions. How do you know you've succeeded? It worked. How do you know this or that has been useful for you? You come from a position of not knowing and ask the other people, how do you know you've succeeded? The second one will be strategic. What can you do differently? Here's one thing also, bonus tip. Many people think that strategy means doing something, what you're doing, only maybe faster, cheaper, better. Yeah, but I submit a better strategy like this. What can we do differently from the competitors? If my goal is to be cheaper, well, my competitors are doing the same thing. They want to go to a price war and kill me on prices. So they have the same strategy, go cheaper. But what can I do differently that they're not doing to make my products even cheaper? That's the strategy. And so when you're talking to a person, where it is that sales head who's seeing declining sales or the tardy person, what can we do differently? And that will be how it's going to be done from a position of not knowing. You are not the one thinking this it needs to be done. But I'm asking you guys, what can we do differently? What can you do that most people cannot? And here's another one, execution. And people will say, they're so overwhelmed, we cannot do it. And here comes the technique. Use the term small step. What small step can you take to so-and-so? For example, back to my training program, this guy said, okay, how do we evaluate these people? We have a Likert scale, 1 being the novice, 5 being the expert. We saw a lot of trees. 13. No, tres, okay? And instead of having the ambition, how can we make a 3 to become a 5? No, that's too far. How can we make a 3 become a 4? What are the small steps to make it happen to the very next thing? The baby steps, the low-lying fruit, the quick win. And then what can we do to make the 2 become 3? So think also in terms of next steps. Remember, the best way. What's the best way to eat an elephant? In the chat box? Anybody knows the story? What is the best way to eat a humongous elephant? Anybody? One small piece at a time. Very good. What needs to be done so that, etc. So now you have to have the possibility question instead of being overwhelming. We cannot do it. Here are the rest of the answers. We're in. Slice it up according to one slice at a time. Thank you, Maya and Henry. Here are the rest. Okay, I'll breeze through it. Empowerment, for example. Have you ever had this employee that says, I have no backer, the boss will shoot it down, it's not in a budget. But now if you say, okay, assume that it can be done, does it have to be this? Would it help if like that? Resources, what do we take to? So I just had a discussion with my production head, and he said something like, Sir Nelson, we needed to repair the roof of the factory. But sir, what's the problem? Sir, it's 1.4 million eh. So, and that's what I told my production head. Look, your job is to tell me what needs to be done and open the PR. My job is to find the money for you. And that's how it goes. So resources should also be what will it take to. Then my job will be, okay, then I have to ask my boss, make the business case, the pros and cons, payback period, whatever you call it. And that's where we'll have the funding. If you are into CapEx presentation, that's the other tip, by the way. Now, design thinking, I love design thinkers. And one of the things they told me is, how might we? The question of how to find solutions, how might we? And brainstorming, yes, and. And the workhorse question, if you have no other question, this is the valuable magic question. What else? After the person gave his statement, you're still in a state of not knowing. You want to continuously be informed. What else? What else? What else? Now, we're almost out of time, and I will give you 2 breezy stories. The what if the other person wants to do something you sense is ill-advised. Well, instead of telling him you're wrong, you simply now have to make him aware of the consequences of his action. What makes it a good idea to resign? What makes it a good idea to cut corners here? What can possibly go wrong? Real talk, I had this talk with a supervisor who was thinking of quitting. And deep in my mind, I know it's a bad decision. Why? He has children to feed. The job market is tough out there. And you want to resign. And also, by the way, there's a good future for you in the company. And he is making explanations left and right. But in my case, when I adopted that not knowing, instead of immediately concluding that he has no initiative, no ambition, he hates the company, or he's going to greener pasture, I had to go into not knowing and asking the question. And here's what I uncovered. It turns out that he was promoted from being a machine operator, And when he became supervisor, he did not know how to do Excel spreadsheets. And what happened, he was so confused and discouraged, he wanted to just give up. And because of that curiosity, the open-ended question, the meaning, we're able to uncover the real reason. And then I simply assigned him to another staff who can do magic tricks with the Excel. And that's where now he's happy, because now we upgraded him and we almost lost a good man. So because of that, not knowing, you're able to explore the meaning in that guy. The meaning is, I don't know spreadsheets. And because of that, I feel useless. Mr. D, sorry, I have to go. Now, last but not least, you have to mediate between two feuding persons. Have you ever had like that? You are a team leader, you have two people who can see eye to eye, and or you have a complaint against this other person, or let us say you have production at war with quality, or finance with marketing, blah, blah, blah. And one of the ways for not knowing is this. Remember, you do not know the real story. And therefore, you have to get the side of each person. There are always two sides of the same coin. And then you bring two persons at the same table where they listen to each other's side and you can synthesize the big picture. Let me give you one last story. Bear with me here. My production guy, remember him? I introduced him as Ryan. Ryan told me, I don't like my maintenance supervisor. Why? His name is Ronnie. Well, Ronnie seems to be like, he's not showing initiative. The machine is breaking down here and there. And I'm not happy with him. All right. He's lazy. He's incompetent. Remember, not knowing. Okay. You don't have his side yet. So let me now park you aside. I'll talk to Ronnie. And I came to my own not knowing session where I do not have preconceived notions about Ronnie. And here's what I discovered. Ronnie, he was doing his best, but he had this preconceived notion that Ryan, his boss, didn't like him. So it became like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And because he thought Ryan does not like him, he played it safe. He only will do what is told him, and he will not do the other stuff because he's afraid he may be reprimanded. Okay? And then not only that, when I had that impression, then I bring the two together, Ryan and also Ronnie in the same table. I explained, Ryan explained, Ronnie explained, and Ryan realized something. He failed to communicate. The culture is one of empowerment, and that's why he is able to free Ronnie to continue doing what he's doing. Ronnie thought Ryan is displeased, but Ryan did not communicate that here's what I want done. And therefore, what happened as a misunderstanding, it became a self-perpetuating feud. And I like what Henry said, two feuding persons. Oh, every day when you have a teenage kid, thank you. Okay, just appeal to the heart and be kinder even if you want to slam their heads together. Yeah. Okay, makes you want to do that. We have those days, but this where not knowing and restraint works wonders. And as I said, Ryan and Ronnie are able to work better together. Now, last thing. Let me recap with this. Not knowing leaders, they park their biases, they probe to know more, and they ponder what is possible. When you have that, we start with not knowing, and we know some more, and at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the end of our career, we will accumulate wisdom. And that will be a satisfying body of work to leave behind.